So that's live, and then I just gotta click live on here.
Oh my god, it's live now.
Oh, it already went live. That's
That's
different.
I don't have the link.
Yeah. All right. Looks like it's all working.
That's
Cool. Hi,
perfect.
everybody. I'm back. I'm back from my like accidental hiatus. You know, I don't know. I've just kind of been living, day by day, week by week, and yeah. And then I woke up one day and realized, man, it's been almost 2 months since I've done anything on YouTube, and that doesn't feel right. And with Halloween coming up, that's always a good excuse to do a stream.
No,
And then
that's
we have a
true.
number of like interesting things to talk about too. So yeah, let's see. And it sounds like we can hear everything too. Jay, well, you should talk a little to make sure that it sounds good.
Oh sure. Yeah, it's like I was like always, but I'm like different because I've been doing too much on YouTube, so I need to slow down so I don't post as much as Claire did.
Wait, as much as what?
As much as Claire.
Well, as much as Claire. Yeah, right.
Because then people can't keep up and you basically only get 2 views from one video, and then what's the point?
Oh my God, I should go into Claire mode of being prolific. I wouldn't be able to do it without just like getting delirious to just like, I don't know how you can even think of stuff to say that often. She's great though. I haven't, I think I listened to a little bit of one of her streams a couple weeks back, but I don't, what was she doing? She mentions it was something to do with matriarchy, but I'm not sure I took anything from it. I don't think I was paying
I have an
attention.
interesting take on matriarchy if you want to hear it.
Wait, before we do that, I just want to make sure we let everyone know the big topic that basically the one thing that had some expressed interest was the story about this like asexual model, 𝙬𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙤. She like recently had this thing where they like announced check out her big lingerie, but she like always promotes herself as like representative of asexual people and aromantic people. So it's kind of funny and kind of perplexing. So that's the first thing we wanted to talk about here, but not the first thing I mean, but the first like main thing. But yeah, since we're just kind of getting it started up here and making sure our audio works and everything. Yeah. What were you saying about matriarchy first?
Oh yeah, something I find to be interesting about matriarchy, right? Because we do hear like a lot of feminists basically, oh now it's patriarchy because there are more men with political power, and they completely ignore that that's the reason why women who basically usually have more voting rights, I might add, decide to elect men to rule over them, right? So they would say that that's patriarchy because of that, right? But like if you think about the possibility of matriarchy, like if you have, for example, like Alison T-Man or Ann Coulter or Claire Carr, if one of these one, for example,
Whoa, that's
would
a
be
category. Wait, that's
no,
um, maybe I guess there's a common denominator there.
yeah, and I'm gonna get to it, and that is that if one of these women were to have like supreme power in a country, right, women in that country would not be able to get away with doing a lot of things that
Oh God,
they
what would
shouldn't.
that would be a
If that makes sense.
fantastic fucking graphic novel, like War of the Matriarchies, right? It's like Romance of the Three Kingdoms, but it's 3 different matriarchies and like it's 3 rulers loosely based off of each of those 3, right? So like Ann Coulter has her like fucking like paleocon. Basically her government's like indistinguishable from what the US government has now, except like maybe she'd enforce the border.
And
That's
less
it.
abortion.
And I guess maybe she'd have a little bit less welfare. I don't know if she'd. I don't. Maybe I don't know. Maybe
Well, and also
Ann
no
Coulter's
abortions.
state would be cool. Who knows? You never know with her, right? Because she's never been political. It's always been like she writes like really like sassy, outrageous shit. So
Yeah,
it's
but
like
she don't believe in women voting right, and she don't want to have
yeah, but it's
abortions
like
either.
how much of it's just bark? Like that like barking is kind of her brand. You
Yeah,
know.
but you just assume that she's meaning everything she said. That's my
Right, that's
problem.
what I mean. It's like we don't know. I'd
But
like to believe
just for
she's
the sake of argument,
genuine.
she does, right? And she would act on it if she had the power. You just say it for the sake of argument.
But I guess since we're talking fictionally, right, it can be whatever's the funniest or the best. So I don't know. So you have her country, which I guess would be a little bit like a libertarian monarchist thing. But I also just find it hard to believe that she wouldn't be like trying to do the. I think she's fairly interventionist, unless I'm mistaken. I might be mistaken. 𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙦 state. Well, that's.
They're all gonna be secular Quranism.
Yeah. Well, lashing lots of sluts and reading your Quran and everything. That's fine. And then Allison's state. I guess that would evolve into some kind of like a libertarian, like like what's the word for it again? Like transhumanist libertarian, I think, is kind of the flavor, right? Like retreating into the Matrix to avoid all of like the impending war from the from 𝙤𝙤𝙤 and from the 𝙤 and Coulter states. Maybe they keep each other busy long enough, and then then Allison states are just like subterranean 𝙬𝙤𝙤 people. Just like checks out.
Well, if Allison was in power, then there wouldn't be a reason to go 𝙬𝙤.
Well, I mean 𝙬𝙤 relative to like the globe, but yeah.
But the main point about all
clear.
this is that a lot of women in today's society are doing a lot of bad things, and they get rewarded for doing a lot of bad things, right? And if this was the case, right, that we just lined out, a lot of these bad things a lot of women can do now, which is bad, they wouldn't be able to do if this was the case, and they wouldn't be able to do pretty much some other things that they might be able to, you know what I'm saying? And because of that, then a lot of women, a lot of feminists, by the way, if they were to live in any of these potential like countries, right, they will beg for the patriarchy to come back the way it is today. I have to describe it today.
Well, no, right. It reminds me of I was listening to Rakita and Drexel's stream, like a recent one they were doing, right? It's a reoccurring thing, and like basically, they're very purple pilled, right? Because like they can't not be, right? I kind of get it, right? But like they were talking about the Jada Smith story, right? Because like Jada Smith and Will Smith, had their big public thing where they're trying to model, I guess, what a good modern marriage is by just like airing all their dirty laundry in a really sensationalist and embarrassing and horrible way, right? And so that's just continuing, right? It's just like awful and embarrassing and like ridiculous. So then they're talking about like like standards for marriage and people committing to it and things like that, right? But like it always comes down to like you really can't get a traditionalist to tell you like what standard they have for women at all. Like the standard really, like from the libertarian perspective, is just like please tone down like the robbing and extorting and everything and the manipulation and the use of the state, right? And then the degradation of family, right? Like that makes sense, right? Like don't do all these horrible, bad, awful things. Right? But then like from there it's like there's nothing binding, right? And like the whole traditionalist thing is they always say like the problem isn't with women because women have always been this way. The problem is with simps, right? And the funny thing is it's a conclusion like everybody shares but for different reasons. And traditionalists they never seem to really take seriously the implication that their starting point taken for granted is that there's like absolutely like no positive moral standard for women, and they think women have always been that way and that's fine. Basically, it's just like there's gotta be something. There's gotta be more,
No, but there is more,
and it's
but
like
that's only...
they don't have to. And everybody thinks like, oh well, women can't do hard labor, blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, but like so much is so automated that like it's fine. Like they don't have to be the superhero money dick firefighters or whatever, right? Like you can have like a really nice, reasonable standard across the board. But
Yeah,
anyway, it's everything falls on the quote unquote simps, right? And then they say, why do we have simps? Because of single mothers, right? And then it's like, so the single mothers and the Jada Smiths unilaterally fuck all this stuff up, and you can't hold them accountable because women don't have a standard, and the fault is all the cucks and simps who let it happen, but the cucks and simps exist because of the women. So there's because I don't, that's it, right? Like it's like the exact same conclusion you'd have from a like TFM MGTOW perspective of just like he's more honest about it with like the value judgment. I think traditionalists have this bizarre reverence toward like the lack of a standard, I guess. Anyway.
That kind of depends, because like that will be the case for the normal trad cons, but for the fusionists, there actually is a standard for women to behave, and I can actually outline that very simply if that would be
Yeah, well,
feasible.
because I guess with fusionism, I guess you do maybe suggest there are some like positive moral duties, like people should do them, and it's like wrong if you don't.
Yeah, and also things you should not do because it would be unethical. Like one example of fusionism is
Well, yeah,
this.
that goes without saying. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, because of the fusionists are actually libertarian, and also because if you one thing is this, and that is that under fusionism, like if you get married to someone, right, that means that you have an obligation towards your spouse, right, because you agreed to it by getting married, right. That means if a woman get married, right, that means that she cannot have abortions without her husband's explicit consent.
Well, I
Right.
mean, basically, I mean, you could just like marriage can just be a kind of contract, right?
Yeah, marriage is, but the
And then
fusionist
those kinds of things
position.
just be negotiated yes or no within the contract, right? So it's
Yeah,
almost like, do you even need marriage as a category, I wonder? Or it's just like, oh, this contract has this thing about like you living together and blah 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 and fidelity and blah blah. So this is also a marriage contract, you know?
yeah, but the fusionist position is this: that is that marriage contract is a specific thing. If people want to have something else, then they should go and call it civil union, for example. And my point is this: my point is that if you get married, doesn't matter your gender, I might add, right? That is that if in a fusionist like law, right, then it would be that a marriage contract is the consensual agreement between two individuals where both have, for the purpose of forming a family, where both have obligation towards one another, right? And if people don't agree with these obligations, then they should not get married, and this because this is the purpose of marriage, and the reason why marriage is a
Well,
good
yeah, and it's
thing.
in a contract, and the point of a contract is you're agreeing to the terms of the contract, right? So it's really silly how it's like it's almost like it's a tautology, right? But it's like people just don't do the thing they promised to do. So you have to be like, okay, contract means you agree to the thing. That means
Yeah,
you
but that's
do
a
the
breach of
thing.
contract.
That
It's
means
a
you're
breach of
bound to it.
contracts because they
I
because
still
they
think
didn't
all of
agree,
this though
right?
to me sounds like a category of like don't do a bad thing, right? Like to me, I guess it's tenuous if like violating a contract is an NAP violation.
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't necessarily, I don't think, have to rise to that level for
Yeah,
contracts
but
to be like useful and enforceable. So I don't
but
know.
the, the,
I
but
guess I'm a little half baked on that.
but I'm mainly use the line of fusion standard, and that means that it means that if that having these marriage contracts, right, would be good for society, because that's also going to lead to an easier way of establishing a more free market systems. Like if you, for example, have fusionism, then that means that you have to have free market capitalism. Otherwise, because the thing you taught me once is that the government tend to destroy social interaction between people, right? So therefore, the fusionist um, idea is that people are so. Is that when you have the marriage stuff, right? That means that's the foundation for the free market. Like these things goes hand in hand, right? Because people who get married and have families, they would benefit the most if everybody were free markets, which means that they should be encouraged in order to maintain a free market system. Because if you, for example, have the welfare state and not a nuclear family, you destroy the market, then you basically use, and that like this taxation goes shut off, and people cannot support the traditional family where one parent work and one parent stay home if they want to, right? And this is the whole fusionist conundrum, that you need one thing for the other, right? And both things are like vital for any form of society to like be good. Otherwise, it's gonna be bad, and the proof would be that that's the case everywhere in the world.
Yeah, I guess because you might call that like incrementalism, right? Or at least a form of it, right? Which is like there is a synergy to like having a healthy society and capitalism. And there's almost an argument to be made of like not even using the term capitalism, right? Because like if the Marxists want to take that term and then use it in their particular context to mean their thing, I mean when I include capitalism, it's like if you like give someone something, or if you do something nice for someone else, that's part of capitalism.
Oh, but
Um,
obviously.
yeah, well, I mean, but that's the thing is it? Certainly, if you ask most people, like they wouldn't consider that. They think
No,
that's
no.
a pretty
Here's the
fucking
reason why
radical.
it would,
Yeah, that's
and they
right.
would have to
So,
agree. And
but
here's
but
why
then
they
at
have to
that
agree
point,
to
it's
this.
basically like it's not even capitalism; it's like goodism, right? It's just we
Yeah,
just
but those
identify
tend to
like
be the
okay,
same
mutually
thing.
voluntary nice things are things that are good, and it builds and fosters society naturally, and like it doesn't need to be like proactively socially engineered. It's just that you see the way it gets built and you can backwards see the efficiency of it, right? But you just, because it's all based in freedom, the only people who are rewarded for being able to predict are people who invest or and et cetera. And it incentivizes savings and it creates natural deflation, which just naturally represents people having more purchasing power, even if they do nothing, which is to say capitalism lifts people out of poverty, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have that incremental idea that like the more capitalism you have and the more you have that sort of voluntarism and the more you have everything, yeah, you get like a better and better and healthier society. And then of course the inverse is true, the degree to which the government fucks it all up, and it's any distortion, right? Like if the government like it could be anything. It could be like taking $1 from my pocket and then like giving it back to me like a week later or something like that. There's like anything, any kind of movement, any feng shuiing. Like they rename my bank account or something. Like it's just cosmetic, right? Or like I don't know. It's just like literally anything that they do that changes or fucks up or distorts the market in any way. The mere existence, their existence on a quantum level, right, is like the smallest quantum of evil, basically.
Yes, but here I need to
And it's
explain how.
de-incrementing and incrementing, and I think that there's more momentum always going the bad way, if that makes
Ye-
sense.
no, that makes perfect sense. But I have to finish the thing I was.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Yeah, and that is that you need to have. That is that the reason why this is capitalism when people do it voluntarily is because capitalism is the reason why people. The capitalism almost mandates or encourages people to be charitable, because under other forms of economic systems they would not be like, they would have less ability to do that, because then they would be extorted to the point that they can't be nice to people. They don't have, they would not have the ability to help other people because the government keeps taking their shit. So therefore, why should I help people? Because the other government do it for me, right? That's like you basically extort people and then basically take the responsibility of the person, right?
Oh
And
yeah, I have a story which is an example of that too.
okay, but and the other example is that people don't seem to realize that they want to have this separation of transactional affairs versus like things that aren't, and that doesn't make any sense, because literally every human interaction is this voluntary would be transactional, because the fact that I am a human that likes other people and I want to spend time with them is a transactional thing, because if I do something with another person, if because like example, like I said, if two people have sex with each other, that's a transactional thing, even if there are no prostitutes involved. Because if both people want that thing, then they get something out of it. It's a transaction when you buy something from another person.
Yeah,
That means that
they're
literally
sharing
everything
time and
people do.
exchanging like fluids and whatever.
Yeah, but not
Not
just
that
that. Is
that's
that
like a trade necessarily, but that's technically occurring.
yeah, but the thing is that if I spend time with a friend and I enjoy it, and my friend enjoys spending time with me, that's still a transactional thing because we both get something out of it. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Most people, I don't think have an issue with the phrase like "time is money."
yeah, exactly, but not. But
Oh.
like the idea is that literally the idea that people want to say that something you do for other people isn't transactional. I'm like, really? Of course it is. Everything is, and there's nothing wrong with that, because emotional well-being that we get from social things and that we love other people is transactional. It's not materialistic, right?
Yeah, the other thing too that's really bizarre is like, oh hey Richard. Um Richard, hey, let me know if the audio sounds okay. I think it seemed good. I heard a little bit of it when we first started. But no, it's like if you call something transactional, then they think, okay, that's cheapened and now it's for money. And it's like, okay, you've gone to a store before to like buy something that you like from like a store that you like, you know, or maybe even like a local one. Or nowadays with like Etsy and stuff where it's like people making like their handmade shit or whatever, and it's like, oh cool, I'm gonna like support this person who like makes these little hand knit things, and you know it's like more wholesome, right? And like they don't people don't seem to apply it in that context, right? Of like, yeah, that's transactional, but did that make it like instantly empty and hollow and evil or something? You know
No,
what
it
I mean?
doesn't. The idea that they want to say the transactional thing is somehow less fulfilling than things that aren't transactional is just complete. That's because they tend to be communist and they see materialism as material equality as as moral absolutism. That's the only reason why they say transactionalism is bad and why they say something isn't transactional, even though it is.
Can you imagine how
And
stressful
most
that'd be though to like
people,
hate money that much that you have to like see demons and shadows like in every shadow of a fucking dollar and a coin? I
yeah,
don't know
and the
what to
reason why
say.
they're so stupid when they do that is also because money is just it's just something. It's a token that you can exchange for resources. Resources that you use to either live and prosper, right? And the thing we do with other people voluntarily is leading us to that thing. We do benefit from it somewhat, otherwise we wouldn't do it, right? Um, that's like my point is that you do sacrifice. Even when you sacrifice for other people, um you are benefiting from it because you care about other people, because you have empathy. If you have empathy, as most people have, then being nice to other people and other people being happy is literally in your self-interest. And that's why humans and other pack animals are like this. The only way people can somehow make a distinction between that and say this is like different from this, um and this is like not transactional and you don't benefit from being altruistic, it's absolute bullshit. They don't understand. They're like pretending that human beings doesn't exist. That the humans aren't a pack model, humans aren't social. They are like, and the reason why they think this way is because government make humans less social by
Yeah.
socializing all these transactional things that humans do to each other naturally out of their own will. And that's the reason why it's fucking evil. It's fucking dehumanizing. It's wrong.
Hmm. Yeah, that's what my pet peeve too is, and they say, well, humans are social animals. Therefore, like they need to be like locked down and manipulated and controlled and separated in these ways. It's like, therefore, that they won't socially work out any problems. Um, so okay, this actually ties really well into this story from these firefighters. There's actually a lot of some kind of interesting nuance to this one. Um, it's a little, just a tiny bit up in my server. Um, the server was a little dead, so I just started dumping stuff in the main there. So I could keep things a little sorted. But it was firefighters threaten state senators staff over vaccine mandate while on duty. So this is a kind of a fun little moral quandary, right? Because the department is trying to mandate they wear, they have vaccines, and of course many people, they're in that position, they're saying like, no, we'll either walk out or have a strike or blah blah, right? um and like that's not terribly like contentious for for like an office job or whatever, right? But for firefighters, it's like, okay, this is a little more high stakes, right? Like this is one of the jobs that they always say, like, this needs to be done absolutely, like this can't wait for anything, duh, right? So the government says, like, we're gonna monopolize this service, right? We're the firefighters. And then they say, well, now here's the standards, right? And now these firefighters, it's kind of like is it ethical for them, right? Because it's like they technically signed up for the state, right? But it's also like you don't really have an alternative if you want to be a firefighter. So it's kind of like not really on them, right? I don't know. I'm just kind of trying to explore both sides. You see what I mean, though? I don't. Maybe did you? I don't know if you found the link. I can just send it to you also. Actually, oh, did you? Oh, did he leave? I don't know. He left. I wasn't looking at the camera. Okay. Let's see. Oh yeah, Richard. And if you wanted to hop on, I can toss you a link um, to the StreamYard. Oh no, I always cut and paste, so so now I don't have the URL anymore. Unless I refresh it. How embarrassing. Anyway, I so basically there was a group in Brooklyn and they were protesting and I guess they've been fired or whatever and it's gonna be a developing story, I guess is the short of it. But I mean, mandating vaccines for anyone is a really bad idea. So I would ultimately say that's where most of the responsibility lies, which I think is pretty safe. But yeah, without government, who would like monopolize the firefighting services and then, um, yeah, and then fuck it up, and then impose standards that will then cause them to want to strike, you know? Okay. Yeah, I found the link. The reason is I had cut and pasted before. There we go. Lockdowns were a mistake, definitely. See, the thing is like, that was one thing that libertarians, I guess, were taking heat for in the early part of the pandemic, because they say, if you had some crazy pandemic situation, what could the libertarians do? Because you can't force people to do anything, and therefore we're all gonna die of a disease in that way, right? And it's like every single like lockdown mandated thing was ineffective and had negative externalities and consequences that were even worse than the thing. That's a timely cough there. Um, but then on top of it, any measures that like maybe might have been reasonable or made sense or been accommodating and healthy, like those didn't really get done because we didn't have a healthy social culture that enforces it. It set me back. Oh, I think you're on the backstage. Sorry, I think I have to let you in. Let me see. I've never used StreamYards before. I think I tried to use it one time, but my connection didn't work. Uh, oh, I see. You were talking about, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the lockdown, like, it's wild that, the people responsible are, like, never going to be held responsible for it. It does remind me, Alternative Hypothesis did make a video. Basically, the argument's basically, Bill Gates and Fauci knew about it and planned the whole thing. That is the argument. Mhm. I thought it was fairly convincing. I wonder how much I wonder where the exact line is, right? Because what I just stated was, some people think this thing. I don't know, maybe. Like, even that's not allowed. That reminds me they're banning, Tucker Carlson's documentary about the January 6th thing, and when I first heard about that, I thought, like, January 6th was a fucking nothing burger. Clearly, Tucker Carlson is, like, doing a gay op, and he's gonna be just drawing more attention to this fucking thing that no one should be talking about because nothing fucking happened. Hey, work boot. Good to see ya. So anyway, basically, it's like I think that Tucker Carlson, the idea is like his documentary would be like, or not documentary, it's series, whatever the fuck he's doing, is just going to be a way to draw more attention to it. So now it's talked about more, and then it's going to naturally lead the public to make it seem like it was a big deal. Then the crazy thing was fucking Democrats, like all move. They're gonna like just straight up ban like a documentary because it's politically something they don't like. Like,
Almost like that's
I'm a little
exactly what.
astonished. I'm almost like more astonished about them just trying to ban like a mainstream boomer conservative fucking documentary about nothing than like that they stole the election. It's like at least stealing the election like had some utility, I arguably, right? I mean, did it?
I mean, like, it does make sure that they can use
But like, why the
demographics to stay in office indefinitely. But something they don't really seem to realize, and this applies to the left everywhere, is to basically appeal to immigrant votes to get welfare to get more power. They don't realize if somebody, for example, wanted to ban abortion and no-fault divorce, later they can just appeal to the values of all the immigrants the left brought in and then make sure the left never gets power anyway. But they don't care because they only care about getting money when they are in power and then fucking off. And so therefore, anybody who's in the left to support the left-wing parties anyway and think that they're gonna do the things they want to do, none of them actually care about the long run. And I who care about, how things are indefinitely, not just my lifetime. I think that's repulsive because they say, I'm just going to self-indulge until I die on my own, and the rest of society can just burn while I'm doing it, but I don't care about the future because I'm the only thing that matters. And then they want to force that on me against my will. It's gross. I hate it. It's evil. It's terrible. It's wrong.
Especially the people who are certain that like the world's gonna end in 11 years or whatever. It's like, why are they so invested in like taking everyone else down with them? I guess. Hey, Richard.
Oh, that makes
I found how to add you.
Misery loves company. That's why.
I can't help he's trying to talk yet, but hey, I'm glad I was actually just going to. Well, first I was gonna see if I don't know, Jay Willie, how much of it you had heard. You don't send me a message through StreamYard because I can't read. It's too hard. You have to just tell me because I'm trying to listen and look at stuff. I was like talking and then I like looked and I thought, oh, he like laughed. He like walked away.
Oh yeah, I used to have to go to the bathroom.
But anyway, yeah, I wanted to talk about this asexual aromantic model, but I guess before, since I did talk a little bit about that firefighter story, I don't know if there was anything you wanted to add to that, or how much of what I talked about you had maybe missed. But it was basically a bunch of firefighters boycotted a vaccine mandate, but it's kind of like it's like your firefighters. I still think that's fine, honestly.
Yeah, me too, actually, because I mean, like, they agreed to be firefighters. They didn't agree to get like gene therapy. Like, it's like that's something that people don't see. But people always want to critique capitalism or libertarian for saying that. Oh, but why should be okay with private companies doing all this? I'm like, a private company hire people according to a certain contract. Breaking that contract, right? It's not libertarian nor capitalist at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's like explicitly quite
Hello.
to be honest.
Hey, Richard.
Hello. Are you going through the asexual article?
Yeah. I think that was the next thing we're gonna bring up here. But yeah, that was just we were talking about our usual topics. I gotta checking our boxes here, and then I had just also seen this thing about the firefighters protesting their vaccines.
Oh, I'll be really
I guess I am kind of the opinion of like just letting all the fires burn for however long it takes is kind of the it's almost like the merciful solution, because if people are gonna say that government is who should be the ones to put out the fire, then I guess we should just get a little bit more accustomed to the possibility that there will not be firefighters for us if the government is allowed to pull shit like this. That's gonna incentivize so many of them to not want to do their fucking job.
Just let Darwinism handle it.
You know what? I'm completely fine with that, to be honest, because at least in the UK, the government wanted to have lower the standards for women specifically, and to quote in more women as firefighters, right? Knowing that that would literally kill people, but they think that gender representation is more important than letting people live or not. So how the fuck could a private institution do a worse job at combating burns?
Same with construction workers as well.
Exactly. Like, so that's the proof the government don't care. They actually want you to die if you make some rich Karens look virtuous or whatever.
That's
Like,
actually a good
they want
point.
you to
There's
die
almost
because they got their
it's like
money
a
in the pension pot.
series. There's a series of government like scandals with how they treat firefighting. And it starts with the whole women affirmative action thing. Like that was the one big one. I mean, I guess the original one is like
But affirmative action was originally for women anyway, so.
And for something like women don't even want to be firefighters, right? Like not
Yeah,
a
but
lot of people want to be a firefighter. You know, it's a hard job.
But that's because, like, the idea of, like, you know, what these people say that they want. Do you know that most people, religious people, aren't really religious at all? They don't have
Oh,
faith.
sure.
And the same thing is for statists. That's a religion where
I'm
they don't have faith
shocked.
because
I
they
am shocked.
basically, what they basically think is they don't actually care about things being effective or not. They basically just care about looking virtuous, right? Something that can make their policies that look good to some people is enough. And in a democracy, it is, because the only thing that matters is that if the majority of people support it, doesn't matter anything at all. That's the only thing that matters. And because of that, they can do whatever, you know, it doesn't matter. Like, as long as they can keep power, then that's justified in their eyes. Because why wouldn't it be? It's called democracy, and it's evil.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, it's. I mean, I guess all I can think is like maybe a few people will connect some dots and think if we didn't let the government take over firefighting, you know, in this way, it wouldn't be at risk and fucked up in this way. But it's weird. People just get this like crazy amnesia about like as soon as the government takes something over, they then assume that throughout all of human history, it was always the government who did it. Like nobody built a road without a government.
It was the bankers mostly.
Yeah.
I do have the best example of this, because if you go to, because I've lived in South Africa right now, I have family who's live in Mozambique too, right? And in those countries, the government are so bad at building roads that the vast majority of road maintenance and construction are done by private enterprises.
Oh yeah.
Like, I think it's like 90-10. It's like,
is it really
and,
that
like,
much? Like that high?
yeah, pretty much.
Really
It's basically, there are
funny.
basically no publicly funded roads that are functional or finished, and those that still, or those the few that are, shouldn't really be considered publicly funded roads anyway, because they might be built by the government, but they haven't been maintained by the government for like at least several decades.
Yeah,
They've
well,
all been maintained by private enterprise all the time.
I know I've brought it up before, but like there was the guy who just spray painted penises over the potholes so the government would go and fix them.
Like, because if you look at government attention, you know, they're so bad at doing a job, and these countries are a very good example of this, because you built like a Chinese hotel, right? And because they wanted more customers, they literally built a road between two cities so people could drive there. And then people use the road to drive to each other's city. They got money, everybody got a road, win-win. Almost like when you get the government out of the business, people solve everything, no matter what. Who would have thought that?
And like people don't think that those incentives will ever play out unless there's like somebody who notices it and then plans it and does it, right? They don't seem to realize like or not even that, like someone will, right? But like they think that they have to. And if they can't mentally conceive of how every single relationship in a society is going to map out, then they think it's got to be centrally planned. Like, which is like,
Yeah, and then basically, and then they're basically going to ask them, like, how do you think that they think the Soviet Union did a better job for maintaining an infrastructure than Monaco? which is literally what they're saying, but they won't never admit to that, even though they kind of does anyway. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, the infrastructure thing is kind of like, I don't know.
Like government infrastructure is much worse than private ones, actually, almost all the time.
Like in America, we have a lot of outdated infrastructure, but a lot of it is like everything is sprawled kind of. So like there's not as much of a payoff for like making everything super updated. I don't know.
I mean, like, you don't really need to make everything updated. You need to be everything. You need to maintain something being functional enough for it to last. And if it doesn't last anymore, you need to just make it updated so we can use it again. Because it's not profitable for anyone to have something sitting there and just not being used for anything, right? It's basically like one perfect example of this was in Malaysia. They basically wanted more natives to own property, so they basically reserved things that could only be bought by natives, right? It's so-called natives, right? By Malays and other people, right? And therefore, nobody decided to build anything of that because that's what happened when government get in charge of reserving stuff for certain people.
Yeah, because they impose those kinds of restrictions. And then the other thing too is when they try to like artificially incentivize something to it, it's kind of like transplanting like a plant somewhere. And then it dies because like since it didn't grow there naturally, like big shocker, it doesn't have what it needs to maintain itself unless you're gonna constantly upkeep it, right? Whereas something that arises naturally through like a society that makes sense, it's gonna have what it needs to continue.
Like, well, I have the perfect example I need to give a role.
Wait, I feel like we're spiraling out of control.
No, wait, use one thing more. One thing more. Use one thing more. And that is that what basically happened is that in South Africa, right, they have this government who's supposed to maintain the road. They don't do it, right? But they're supposed to, right? And they get taxed and they don't do their job, right? And they get taxed and paid regardless. Why would they? And then a private company, right? They decide to maintain roads, right? And they are people who are members of that private company. And they pay to be members, and they use that pay fee to maintain the roads in the country.
Yeah, the company towns, the communists like to point to those as like examples of like evil libertarianism or whatever, and it's kind of, it's, I know that could be a whole topic, honestly. Some of that shit is really interesting though. There's kind of it's a mixed bag for sure, to say the least. Without saying like anything.
It's basically like
Mr. White Male here too. I saw a bunch of these comments here, and then I was like, are they appearing in both chats? And it looks like they are, so that's good. Have you guys heard of this model before anything? I had to just like read her Wikipedia. This 𝙬𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙤.
I had to Google her. So.
Sorry, what was that?
I had to Google her to see her. I didn't know who she was. So.
She's an English model. 25, and her big thing is she is asexual and aromantic, and she came out in a YouTube video as asexual and aromantic.
When somebody clipped Davy's face reaction to that.
Yeah, I mean, what caught my attention was a particular tweet showing off this like she's like, yeah, here we go. Can I just link to the tweet in the chat? Let me see if that works.
You can share it on here. Yeah. Oh, I can do it if you prefer.
Wait. Yeah. How do I share in the thing?
Okay. I have a solution. You post it, and then I share it for you.
Wait, I can find it. Oh, there's
a share. You guys having a boomer moment.
The share button to share, guys. I'm catching up. Okay, sorry, I'm in the infinity thing. I'm gonna pop this over here. Here we go. Oh, wow, I'm really. I've only had a few hours of sleep, but I'm just not sleepy. Let's see. Hasn't been away. I'm really excited for Halloween because I haven't had a proper Halloween in like years. Anyway, so this was for Ace Week 2021. Did you guys know there's an Ace Week? Did you guys know? I think we missed it. We fucked up. We're a bunch of ace phobes. Especially you, Richard. Especially you and everyone. We're all ace phobic. No, especially Mr. White Male. How dare you say that it's cold and sociopathic to be an asexual? I think that's a little harsh, but I kind of get the argument, right?
Like, I would at least say it's abnormal.
Is this? Where's that echo coming from?
Not from me.
Oh, I'm on here twice now.
That's where the echo comes from.
Oh no, that's because that's the thing it's sharing. So I'm catching up. Okay. Anyway, so AIDS Week 2021, I teamed up with Playful Promises for the first ever asexual themed lingerie campaign. I'm gonna repeat that. Asexual themed lingerie campaign. So I get how if you were gonna do an asexual themed thing, like clothing. Where's the fucking echo coming from? It's not me. If I mute this tab, I think that mutes you guys, though. Yeah, I can't do that. Anyway. Basically, this is what asexual looks like. So, but like, it's fucking bondage gear. This is like hypersexual bondage gear. Am I just ignorant? Am I just like, I don't understand what anything means anymore, right?
Well, that's because they don't really think that anything means anything, and that's the reason why everything could be anything.
I mean, is the argument that it's like deliberately the opposite of what you'd expect, right? Like it's deliberately pushing it, you know?
I suppose so. I don't really know. It's like retarded. I don't know.
I mean, it is, right? Because that is kind of crazy to like what does it mean to act and be this sexual clearly when you're trying to represent asexuality?
I mean, like, I guess it's just
Kind of
because
conundrum, right?
it's just artistic and nothing else, and you can see it objectively when you're not aroused about anything ever. Because if that makes sense, I guess. I don't know.
Well, hey, look, I think we found somebody who's gonna help us out because this guy Nathan says it doesn't look very asexual to him, right?
You
But
linked it, I can
constantly
like it.
disappointed says, then you should probably reevaluate your stereotypes. Should asexual people all be dressed like Puritans? Or did you have something else in mind that you think they should wear to fit your standards? Well, I guess it was just not this.
Just like she's looking, she's just like fishing, I suppose.
He's like, it's a basic piece of lingerie, and they're calling it asexual for attention, right? So I don't know. Are we assholes for trying to impose a standard on asexual people?
No.
Or are they assholes for trying to like exploit this for attention? You know.
The other one.
Oh yeah, and then she took a break from Twitter over this because of the harassment.
Lord, what? I
So
took a break.
we really should make sure we read this. We should make sure that we are aware of how hurtful we are. Okay, guys, I'm going to say this, but it's time for a little Twitter break. The relentless harassment from these middle-aged white women / trolls is creating a cycle of negativity that is becoming detrimental to the positive ace atmosphere I've been working hard to create this week. I love
the
this.
cringe is real.
Listen, you fuckers. I'm trying to make a positive healing space for people and people like myself, and I can't have all of you fucking middle-aged blacks all up in here coming in and ruining my vibe of peace, okay? It's just like, that's literally... like... God, I could just maintain like this cycle of negativity from all these just horrible people that I hate who are awful. Specifically, it's like she's doing it. She's doing the cycle. Like,
There was a documentary a few years ago about asexual people, so...
Oh, what, Sarah? What was it?
There was a documentary about asexual.
Oh, that one went under the radar because I mean it kind of always does, right?
Let me link it in the chat. Hold on.
The thing that I don't understand about it is like you already have this term called like sex drive, roughly like how interested is a person in sex. And to me it's like you could just say they don't have very much of a sex drive. And like making it asexual as a thing is like that's less useful than just having a term like sex drive, which is like scalable already. You know what I mean? That's what I think.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because like that also maps onto kind of what the convention is for just about anything in sexuality, which is that by putting a label onto it, it's not like a black and white standard really, because it's all very individuated. She says, but trolls rest assured that in my short absence from Twitter, I'm still speaking at institutions that wouldn't let you through the door, corrupting the youth and adults with messages about asexuality, getting the coverage you despise, and yes, I'm still hotter than you. How would you know? How would you know?
Exactly, right?
You don't even
The same thing.
experience hotness subjectively. But also, like, this shit is really infuriating, right? Because she's so fucking privileged. All she has to do is just say, "Oh, I'm asexual, whatever." Model. Oh, I'm gonna wear this like hideous underwear and just pose on and then like because the establishment likes
It's in
this.
your it's in your DMs on Discord.
Oh, sorry, there's Daisy in Discord. What's going on? Oh. Oh, thanks. Oh, 2011. Okay. Grab a tab for that. Boop. But anyway, it's just like it is really frustrating the way like these fake activists like it really should go on the institutions, right? Maybe there's kind of a market for that is to really like go after and mock institutions who promote just these frivolous characters like this. Because like what the fuck kind of good is this? Like they imagine there's like hundreds of thousands of like confused preteen asexuals and I don't know like what do they think's gonna happen like like they didn't encounter her early enough so they didn't have high enough self-esteem and that's the crisis. Right, like what you know what I mean? What does she imagine is like the tide she's coming out against, right? Because with the trans race people, you know, it's a trans genocide because half a dozen trans people died in a year or something, or whatever. One is too many. One is a genocide, right? So there's a trans genocide established. Great, that's a fact. Fine. Is there also an ace one? I really don't think that that's like in the cards, right?
But also the way they used to say it's a trans genocide doesn't really make any sense because like they're not they need to be like an extermination of trans people, right? And if they can't even point out the source about who is doing it, which they probably should be able to because it seems to be kind of clear to me.
Yeah, but they don't even have to, right? All she identified that she doesn't like middle-aged white women / trolls being
It's
negative
not
at
that
her,
middle-aged
criticizing
white
her.
women are these trolls nowadays.
I don't know. The one critical comment I found was from a dude. Where are all the white women? Where are the white women at? I need to find all the white women harassing her. Let's see
She
how.
basically just wrote that before she read anything, so.
I seriously, I want to find. I want to see. I want to do a demographic analysis of this thread. And see if I can get like a rough percentage here. I want to see how. I want to see what her radar looks like.
Like this basically the video you did about that
I
BuzzFeed
can't
shit,
navigate
right?
Twitter with shit. God, I'm so bad at this.
But like I remember the video you did about the BuzzFeed chick who basically did the piece on MRAs, right? And she was being super dishonest, right? And then she basically went on Twitter, right, to look at people saying mean stuff to her. And then you looked up all the people who who said their shit, and then it was like it didn't make any sense what she posted. Remember? It's hard to explain, but I think you know what I'm talking about.
No, which one?
It's the video made about a BuzzFeed lady who did a hit piece on MRAs, and then you basically
Oh wait,
explained
yeah. Oh god, that chick. Yeah, what was her name again?
Gabasi's. I don't know.
God.
That's not the video. Her name was like, you know, that BuzzFeed bitch that Karen called a cuncture faith. That's basically it.
Oh, Sachi, that chick.
Mm.
God, yeah.
Yeah, and you look at the people who like harassed her on Twitter when she said the thing, and then you find out that a lot of them were Indian or black, and then a lot of them had like closed accounts, had like 5 tweets or something, and one tweet also gets her, and it was like really weird, like really obscure people who basically did it. She basically just made it look like it was just random guys doing it. Okay, it was technically random guys, but you get my point, right? Then it was like normal or whatever. It's hard to explain, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think yeah, I mean she had nothing as far as like complaining about being harassed or whatever. I was just looking at like this comment here is a white woman saying something which is supposed to be supportive, right? But you could totally read this the opposite way. What someone wears isn't what makes them ace. Our aceness makes us ace, and no one gets to define that. So, right, live, laugh, love. Great, thank you. Thank you, Over the Garden L. Oh, I think she's a fan of Over the Garden Wall. Well, that's a good show.
You should link this tweet so we can have some fun with it.
No, I don't like the tweet because she doesn't mean it the way I want to mean it.
No, but
I
link the
can
original
tell.
tweet so I can discover a lot of stuff.
Oh,
and
so
do
you
a
can
lot of
discover it?
research.
Oh. It's like a fucking stingy. I'm like, I don't want to like that tweet. Fuck you.
No, don't like it. You send it to me. Okay, I can find it.
Okay. Swift selfie day, and then another emotional white woman supporting her. I like Harry Potter, not the author. Okay, but the books are also full of bigotry. Well, I don't know why we're talking about Harry Potter, because that's the book. Another outfit for that. This is what asexual looks like. Hashtag.
Oh my god! At least it's not a bit more realistic. Okay.
But like, what does that mean? It doesn't. What does that mean? How do you look asexual? You just like you're. I mean, this woman looks like she is not interested in sex at all. So I think maybe she nailed it. I think I'm warming up to it. I think this is it. Yeah, this is the uniform. If you're asexual, I found it. I'm giving this one is a genuine like.
Okay,
give her a retweet. I like it.
I don't know what you're.
Actually, I kind of do like the Miss Frizzle ass galaxy skirt here. It makes me kind of happy.
But you need to stop liking the other tweet now.
Oh yeah, no, I'm taking it the other way. I think that she meant to say, she meant to cyberbully the stupid woman by saying that she can't define what ace is. This woman gets to define what ace is. I mean, obviously, I just picked this one and think that she's the better representative because she's white, clearly.
Oh yeah, it's always about.
So guys, is this what asexual looks like? Or maybe this one? Yeah, like this is at least a suggestion of a flavor. This is like the opposite. Can we find more?
No. Oh my god.
I mean, you know. Is this particularly asexual?
No, because I like.
No,
shorts.
he's just gay.
Yeah, like I like guys that have shorts. So.
You know.
Wait, go up. I need to read about
what like you can just be gay. Like it's really. She
I
doesn't
could
look. She looks
see.
like a um. It looks like a filter, like a deep fake.
We pretty much try to raise awareness about asexuality.
Why would we want to be aware? It doesn't make any sense. What kind of
falls under the A in LGBTQIA, but there's often a lot of misconceptions about it, and that is why this week is particularly important. People often think that being asexual means that you have like anti-sex attitudes, or that you don't have
No.
any kind of sexuality, or that you wouldn't really want to put any kind of effort into your appearance to be sexy or be glamorous.
No.
Well, wait a minute though. I mean, it would imply that there's a disinterest, and that therefore it would be strange or irregular to see them in a hypersexualized way. Yeah? And like to not to say that like you can't even do that level of generalization, then don't fucking label it and pretend it's a thing that I'm supposed to like understand and then like anticipate and respect or something, right? Because like like literally the most rudimentary aspect of having a category and a definition, like you're not allowed to do, because it, spoiler alert, all it is just a way to bully people, right? Anything phobe, it really phobe just means stick, I think, right? So when they
I
say,
mean,
"Oh,
like,
you're
I
a
do.
homophobe," that's my. I'm gonna hit you with the gay stick because I'm gonna accuse you of not sufficiently bending to the will of the gays. And you know now this is the aphobe, ace phobe. It's the ace stick. They're gonna hit us with the ace stick if we don't.
I'm like, I would like to say that we can still use the sticks if we want to, because if you really want to be pedantic about this, that the only rights, well, technically speaking, the most racism and homophobia is basically misandry, but unspecified. So, and women basically rarely suffer from, are the victims of either, right? And because of that, I think it's very useful to use those sticks where it's applicable, but not where it's not. And because of that, but like if you look at this, like realistically speaking, when it comes to rights to family planning, for example, that if you're gay, you only have rights to family planning in the United States of South Africa, like in the world, right? If you want to compare it to any relationship involving women. So I'm gonna use the homophobia stick probably because if I use the misandry stick, they're not gonna care. So why not use
Yeah.
the other one too?
Well,
Because technically, it's just
Yeah.
a flavor of the other.
No, I get what you're saying from like the usefulness perspective. Sexual teased by apparently asexual people. You kids are taking attention seeking to the next level. I mean, right? Is this one of the white women that offended her?
I think so.
I mean, the name is Lola, but this picture looks a little male. I guess Lola could be a man. It does not seem any different from normal lingerie, right? I'm so confused. This person says it's not genuine confusion. You could make it as clear as possible and they'll still not get it. It's like, I guess she did an interview. Oh, is it, if it's verbal, I don't want to like listen to it. What is it? Okay, so a common misconception that I try to challenge when incorporating activism into my modeling is this pervasive idea that there's an asexual way to look or dress. I think that's it. That's her white whale. The white whale is she's concerned that that there's a pervasive idea of how asexual people should look and dress. Anyway, God, this is it's so stupid. I don't know. I guess I don't get it. I don't get lingerie at all. Anyway. Oh yeah, the other funny thing too is just this last bit. I think this really closes it out, just to really round out, you know, how much of a person for love and understanding and being a change in the world she is. For the dumbasses that don't understand what asexual themed lingerie campaign means. I'm sorry, I have no fucking idea what that means. Asexual themed lingerie campaign. I don't get it. I'm sorry. I'm a dumbass. I did an interview speaking about what asexuality is, the importance of Ace Week, diverse representation, and the message behind the shoot while on set. And literally, it's just we can dress sexy for money also. And don't you fucking tell me I'm not allowed to just because I'm not really actually interested at all. Like, am I participating in ace genocide if I comment? Like, I'm not saying they shouldn't be allowed to wear anything sexy. I'm just saying it's bizarre, right? I'm just saying it'd be like, oh, that's a little perplexing, right? Uh, and it's like any kind of person can dress in a way that's a little bit strange or unexpected, regardless, right? And it's okay. Just because I told someone, um, you dressed it in a usual way. That doesn't, God, it's a fucking genocide, I guess. Let's see. I had a few other topics here to touch on, but that was the main thing that I was so upset when I saw that. I mean, not really, more kind of confused. Oh, I guess we could talk about racist Halloween costumes. There's not really much new there, but this article I got a little chuckle out of it just because of how bad it was. And this is a Halloween themed thing. I think last year, or was it the year before, I did a Halloween stream. And we actually had a few articles that were themed really neat. Okay, so Jay was starting to have hashtag journalist, a lot of stuff. Hashtag hate hoax. I know. If you ever watch the Matt and Blonde show, they've been doing their fucking hate hoax segment like every single show for a week for the past 2.5 fucking years. No. Like the last almost 4 years. It's been like the entire Trump presidency. They could always find hate hoax. I think the point is it's no different. Okay, yeah. The point is that it's no different. Like you can show the same. Is that the point of the asexuality hashtag, right? Is see we're all dressed the same? I suppose. Yeah, okay. I know in hindsight that's kind of obvious, but it's still, since I don't normally and have not ever really thought about how I expect an asexual person to dress due to their asexuality. To come at me with a campaign of we dress normal, we dress all different, just like everybody else was kind of okay. I guess, spoiler alert, I wasn't the target audience for that one. Shouldn't surprise many people. You met me. I know I met you, Richard. I don't know what you're talking about. Let's see, can we get a moment of silence for the PS5 shortage? No. All right. Well, yeah, well, we'll talk to you later. I keep saying I want to try to have streams with some regularity, but I always just feel like I never want to commit to the same weekly time or something. I don't know. I just have to think about it, about how often I want to stream. I'm unique just like everybody else. Okay, so then What was the other thing? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was gonna find that silly Halloween article. It was pretty short. It was really just a list of racist Halloween costumes. Okay. Whining. Okay, I found it. Sorry. Not gonna read it because it's like boring, but like what's really funny about this, the examples aren't terribly shocking, but then like the weakness of the reasoning is a little bit funny. So 16 racist and sexist Halloween costumes you should avoid. And of course we have the classics right up front, right? Don't be Pocahontas. Oh, and Katy Perry will never live this down ever. And she apologized. That's blood in the water. What show did you say you had hate hoax constantly? Oh, that's the Matt and Blonde show, Beauty and the Beta. They used to call it Beauty and the Beta. They changed the name. Oh, was that like a year ago? They rebranded to the Matt and Blonde show. They're probably like my single favorite like weekly long like news commentary radio show. Like they're just so it's just good. It's good and solid and reliable. Ramsey Paul streams are all really good though too. He's always so concerned about like like what the kind of the stream he's doing for that day is, right? And really particular about knowing the difference between his Happy Homelands streams and his Night Owls streams and the other one. And to me, it's always funny because I like his streams no matter what he's doing. So I'm just like rolling my eyes like I really don't care. Like you're fine, man. Like don't worry about it. Let's see. Anyway, blah blah exposition. Okay, so they said number one, blackface. No, don't do it. Blah blah blah. That's mandatory. Culturally offensive costumes on children. Okay. Indian costumes, dressing up as refugees. This was like 2016, so that's that was a thing. And then Hitler makes the list at number 5. Don't dress up as Hitler. Or any Nazi. Religious garb as Halloween costumes. Inuit or Yupik costumes. See, this one I thought is interesting because it's kind of like you already said, quote unquote, Indians, right? So in theory, here you could just do the whole thing about Indians and Eskimos and Aztecs and African tribes and everything. Right? Because they already said like quote unquote Indian, right? And it's like that's already a wrong term. So you get to unpackage that and then you could just expand it. Then that's like the same fucking point anyway. This one was great. Blue Lives Matter. It's problematic. Blue Lives Matter is an inflammatory statement which denigrates the racial justice efforts of thousands upon thousands of Americans, black, brown, and white alike. If you want to dress up as a police officer, that's well within the mainstream of Halloween costuming, but keep this phrase out of it. So the funny thing though, right, is like, I don't know, you're supposed to dress up as something scary for Halloween. So in theory, that would make it like a better costume. If there's that argument, right? But like the funny thing about it is it's denigrating a racial justice effort. I see. They don't like that it's denigrating the efforts of people. But like, what if they have a racial justice effort, but it's like a horrible idea and it's terribly misguided and it doesn't fucking work, right? I'm not allowed to denigrate that, right? It's considered inflammatory to denigrate that, but then likewise, doesn't that apply to anything they do? Or if I argue, actually, I'm denigrating Black Lives Matter in order to promote racial justice, and therefore, this article is denigrating my efforts to promote racial justice. Right? Hey, Ashley. Hypersexualized soldiers made this list, which was funny. Oh yeah, this was actually the reason I thought the article was worth mentioning. This is cool. Dressing up in sexy military uniform costumes can be seen as demeaning to American women in combat, as well as disrespectful to American veterans in a general sense. Hypersexualized like soldier costume. Specifically, this is really bad for the 5 or 6 American women in combat. Oh, and I guess also the veterans too. Yep. And then this was, you know, offensive Asian stereotypes, blah blah blah. Offensive Mexican stereotypes. The prisoner jumpsuit one is funny too. Whether you know anybody who's been to prison or not, whether you've led a life of struggle or relative privilege, the dynamics of racial injustice in sentencing and the sad state of America's prisons make dressing up as a convict a needlessly loaded proposition. It's like kind of more or less reasonable, I guess, right? I don't know how many people though, like, I don't think people really dress up as just like a prisoner. Usually there's some kind of character that's in prison for some kind of reason, or you like combine the prison jumpsuit. People like wear it with a mask or something usually. I'm not sure why exactly that's more common, but I think I don't know how often I've seen of just a vanilla prisoner. I was like, I'm a prisoner, that's scary. Um, but yeah, whatever the prison thing gets brought up, since it really is like the big go-to stat that anti-racists use, like just that Sonia Starr study, like immediately says like, okay, you can keep all of your anti-racism, but now you just committed to a men's rights effort that's 6 times larger. Yeah, a lot of finger waving here. They don't like crude Islamic terrorism costumes, which like this is kind of funny because it's like, I mean, it's clearly for mocking the terrorists. Whatever. Rastafari costumes. Wearing racist sports team gear. They really came for the Indians hard. I think they're not even the Indians anymore. Not even the Indians get to wear their racist sports team gear anymore. Anyway. Really, the only thing I thought was like that I just thought was funny was this bizarre little logic about how if you dress up as where was it? As a sexy soldier. Okay, the Blue Lives Matter thing is interesting, right? But also, if you dress up as a sexy soldier, it's misogynistic, mostly. And sub point B, a few veterans might get angry, which like they won't. Anyway. They have approved costumes at they have approved costumes at the wait, do they? Do they have a list of approved costumes? Wait, 3 90s costumes you can keep wearing even after Halloween's over. Well, yeah, that's just because these fucking rule. Like everybody should have a Daria outfit. I should do like a male Daria. I probably have it. I have an orange shirt. Just a little bit of hairspray to mimic like that shape. I have very round glasses, so switch these ones out. You just got to get the jacket right, really. Just black pants, orange shirt, just get the right jacket. It's an instant Daria Morgendorfer. Why haven't I thought of this earlier? God, I feel stupid. I like her plaid jacket here too. All right, I'm just getting a little distracted. Wait, stop screen. There we go. I know. I'm kind of winding this one down here. Well, hey, it's, got an hour and some change. So it's a respectable time for a stream. A little bit of a shorter one, but all about Jane. Yeah, right. La, 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 la. That show is so good. Yeah, I don't know. I had kind of a little list of things that I thought I'd bring up, but I think I kind of touched on just about everything. I should probably get caught up on my sleep too. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and close down this stream. Good to see some familiar faces here. Yeah, I'm gonna hope I can lean into this and the momentum of having created a stream and do more with the YouTube channel again. Like I said, it was like an unintentional hiatus. I'm just so busy. I just have this life. Anyway, everybody keep it easy and have a good day.